Joining me now, David Wasserman, the senior editor and elections analyst for the Cook Political Report. So, David, let's start with this news in Colorado. What impact does Boebert's switch have on the races in both of these districts, and could it be good news for Republicans?
Well, Ryan, Lauren Boebert is the reason why Republicans were in danger of losing Colorado's 3rd district. She came within 546 votes of losing last time, and the same Democrat has run again this cycle, outraised her 3-1, and she's her own worst enemy. So she moved from the western slope to the eastern plains of Colorado in this latest decision. And although these districts both lean red, the Eastern Plains District is a lot redder, and culturally and economically, it's quite different. There were already 4 prominent Republicans running in that open seat, including a prominent state rep, 2 former state senators, a radio host. Boebert may be counting on a fractured primary field to allow her, with her existing high profile, to retain a seat in Congress, even though she currently represents none of those constituents.
Yeah, so maybe break down the stakes there in that primary. There's potential. She's no guarantee, I should say, to be the nominee in that district.
That's true. You've got Ted Harvey, Jerry Sonnenberg, Deborah Flora, and these are Republicans who had racked up plenty of endorsements locally in a district that is really sprawling and has a lot of farms on the Eastern Plains. Now, in the 3rd district, where Adam Frisch, the Democrat, had raised over $4 million so far against Boebert, he's essentially lost his rationale for all of the Democrats who've given him a ton of money to get Lauren Boebert out of Congress. Now, we'll see who Republicans nominate, but Republicans' prospects have improved in that district. And they also got good news, by the way, in Georgia today, when a federal judge approved of a new map that preserves Republicans' gerrymandered advantage in that state. So the House prospects for Republicans have brightened at the end of the year.
But do you think that it is going to matter who ends up being the nominee in the 3rd district as to whether or not that remains a lean Republican, or could it potentially go back to a toss-up if it is another candidate, maybe in the style of Lauren Boebert?
Well, that's why we have this district in lean Republican as opposed to likely or solid Republican. If there were a traditional conservative without personal controversy running in this seat, the polarized nature of the seat, you've got these conservative oil and gas and ranch towns, and then very liberal resort destinations like Aspen and Gunnison, and those culturally polarized communities mean that there are very few persuadable voters. Of course, Lauren Boebert managed to polarize that persuadable bloc against her. But as long as Republicans, and this is a big if, were to nominate a more conventional candidate, then they would be favored to retain this seat.
Okay, let's talk about the rest of the House now. There are 35 sitting members of Congress right now who say they're not going to seek re-election. They're either going to retire, they're going to run for a different office. So far, that's only one shy of the final retirement numbers in 2020. What are the tea leaves we should take from this?
You know, it's shocking, Ryan, how the Republican dysfunction that we've seen this year has not been reflected in the partisan breakdown of retirements. As you just showed, there are nearly twice as many departing Democrats as Republicans. And so a lot of Democrats are saying, well, not only is the House not really moving anything and Republicans can't get their act together, but we're stuck in the minority. And so we really don't have hardly any influence here. And Democrats own the bulk of the vulnerable open seats. There are 2 members leaving in Michigan, Dan Kildee and Alyssa Slotkin, whose districts are very, very competitive. Abigail Spanberger's district in Central Virginia is going to be another competitive seat. Now, Republicans do have the single most vulnerable vacancy, and that's New York's 3rd district. So we'll see what happens in that February special election.
Well, and you've already touched on this, but there's a lot of these battlegrounds that are really still in flux because there are redistricting decisions that still need to come down that could completely change some of these district lines. You mentioned Georgia. That's an issue in New York. There's some other states as well. And what are the states that you're watching specifically that could have the biggest impact on the control of the House?
Yeah, so North Carolina was Republicans' biggest victory earlier this year when they redrew the map to basically nab another 3 or 4 seats. depending on one toss-up district. And then Democrats won a victory in New York recently when New York's top court ruled that process must start over again. We're still waiting for the chips to fall there. We're not sure whether the Democrats in Albany can be as aggressive as North Carolina Republicans, given some of the rules there. However, there's also pending litigation in a couple other states regarding racial redistricting lawsuits. Now, Georgia, I mentioned, is a setback for Democrats. Alabama earlier this year was a victory for Democrats. There's going to be another black majority seat in that state. A big outstanding question is Louisiana, where there's a similar lawsuit to the one that produced an additional black majority seat in Alabama. It's just a question of whether it will make it to a new map in time for the 2024 elections. And keep in mind, every one of these developments matters a lot when you're talking about this game of inches in the House, which is currently a 9-seat margin for Republicans, and even lower than that, given the vacancies caused by George Santos's expulsion, Kevin McCarthy's exit, and others.
Yeah, Dave, I could talk to you all day, but I've seen enough. That's it. You've had a terrific report here, and we appreciate you being on. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.